Hi, my name's Jeff from Hello Again Whiskey Friends, and welcome to the Whiskey Vault. Shout out to Daniel for inviting us to do this guest appearance here, and a special shout out to our whiskey friend Tony for nominating us for this guest appearance during Dry Week. Appreciate you, buddy. Now, with today's video, I want to talk about one of our favorite distilleries, and that is Hard Truth. Now, Hard Truth is coming out of Brown County, Indiana. Beautiful grounds, amazing people working there. But if you ever have the chance to visit them, oh my gosh, amazing place to spend the evening listening to some live music, hanging out by a fire pit, sitting with friends by a picnic table, and enjoying some amazing whiskey. Now, the reason that I am highlighting this distillery and particularly this release, which is going to be the 2024 Master Distillers Blend, is because I think it encapsulates so many of the trends I have been seeing over the course of 2024, and it does so within a single bottle. Now, those two trends are going to be first, rye whiskey category in general. I have fallen in love with so many rye whiskeys over the last couple of years, but really in 2024, that is what sealed the deal for me. I think half of my top 10 of 2024 are rye whiskeys. And the reason that I love this so much is that I think a lot of the imprint of rye whiskeys on our brains comes from the 95.5 mash bill from MGP that so many people have released and sourced over the years. That is what so many people think of when it comes to rye whiskey. But really, over the last 5-10 years, there have been distilleries all over the country that have been experimenting with different mash bills involving the rye grain. And this is one of those releases with three kind of not experimental mash bills, but very, very unique mash bills coming together in what's going to be the second trend that I've seen in 2024. But there has been an emphasis more and more on blending whiskeys. I love single barrels, don't get me wrong, but there is a special magic of a blend that is great versus a single barrel that is great, because the blend that is great got there through hard work and some magic. A blend is something special. So let's bring those two things together, the rye whiskey and the blending, and talk about the 2024 Master Distillers Blend. So this is a fabulous rye whiskey, one of my favorite of the year. But what is crazy about this thing is that it is a blend of three different rye releases that Hard Truth does: the chocolate malt rye, the caramel malt rye, and the malted rye. Now, over the years, I have gotten to essentially have different batches of these three releases. I have seen them as they've gotten better, from being on average 2 years old, 3 years old, now into this release here. I think the age statement on this one is 5 years old. And with each subsequent release, each subsequent batch, they have gotten better. My favorite has been the caramel malt rye. But even with the latest batch of that, while delicious, it always lacked a certain amount of depth. What I absolutely adore is that somehow they found the depth that I was missing in the individual releases by combining all three of these together, particularly in this proportion. So what I want to do with the rest of our time together is walk through the tasting notes on this particular whiskey, and by doing so, try to articulate the different tasting notes I'm getting versus what people might be used to with, say, a 95.5 MGP mash bill. Cheers, whiskey friends. Let's get into this thing. So I'm going to go through the nose and then go through the palate here and try to describe what I'm going through. One of the main notes, and I think this one comes from the caramel malt particularly, is it almost reminds me of a custard-filled, chocolate-covered donut. The other thing that always impresses me, particularly about Hard Truth, but a lot of rye whiskeys this year, are the fruits that I have been getting and the diverse fruit profile that goes well beyond citrus or orange. This particular one, which tends to be a common factor that I get from Hard Truth, but I describe it essentially as a special K cereal with strawberries in it. And kind of combining it, I guess, with that donut, but Right next to that donut, you also have some type of espresso, mocha espresso, something like that, side by side. Quite a delicious breakfast. Let's see if it tastes that way. Cheers, everybody. Ah, absolutely gorgeous mouthfeel. Quite the finish, too. It's actually one of those whiskeys that's hard to talk through because the finish is quite unrelenting and delicious. But a lot of it does play through. I think I said chocolate covered donut, custard donut. On the taste, it's more of like the butterscotch cream on top of that than the chocolate cream. Oh, that is actually one of my favorite donuts. Thus, my weak spot for this particular whiskey. Anytime you hit one of my weak spots in a whiskey, you're going to see me smile more and more. And this is one that tends to make me smile. I think some people actually see when I review whiskeys, depending on how much I smile, they can tell how much I like the whiskey. And I'm ear to ear right now. It's really good. Let me go in for another note there because I just totally distracted myself. Ah, beautiful melody of fruits again. Fruits will continue to stand out. Now, the fruits on this one, oh, I am getting a bit of a chocolate infused orange, getting some of the strawberries, getting some of the berries. So you kind of got a wide range there. When it does come to the fruit profile, those carry through all the way to the finish. There's quite a bit of vanilla as well, kind of like a French vanilla ice cream. All right, let's get into the finish. Mm. All those notes carry through, but man, it just evolves into this lovely crescendo of all those notes. By the time you reach the finish, the stone fruits and the berries in particular are hitting, and I'm getting it all along the back of my throat, the sides of the tongue. That's actually where this one finishes the most, is actually on the back of the throat and the sides of the tongue, which is always an interesting thing to track on any given whiskey, is where it finishes. But this one is all about the back of your cheeks. And that's probably what makes me smile too. All right, one more sip, see if I got any final thoughts. No, I think that's it. Man, the espresso and sweet cream on that one too on the finish. Oh, the fruits, the oranges, lovely, lovely rye whiskey. And once again, hopefully some of the notes that I threw out there kind of shows you the range of this versus some rye whiskeys you might be used to. So if you want to learn more about my channel and what we do over at Hello Again Whiskey Friends, check us out on YouTube. And just to close this one off, man, I'm really glad you're here. Goodbye, everybody.